Hello everyone, it is Thursday, it is Litsoc. 2 days ago it was Holocaust Memorial Day. Can someone remind me why the 27th of January specifically is Holocaust Memorial Day?
I think it's because that's when
Auschwitz. Yes.
Was like stopped, like people came and stopped it.
Yeah, it was liberated is the exact term. Okay, now Auschwitz. Does anyone know why Auschwitz is seen as, specifically as the most significant one of them all?
It had so many Jews. It was very bloody. It was very harsh.
Mm-hmm.
The conditions were inhumane, and was it the biggest one?
It was, and also it's where the most people perished. So some numbers for you, and they never lose their power to shock. 6 million people, 6 million Jews, I should say, specifically, perished in the Holocaust, and approximately 1 million alone were in Auschwitz. So when it was liberated, 27th of January, you got to remember at the time people weren't aware of the atrocities. We know all about them now, but before that we weren't aware of them. And so because of this, it's considered a very, very significant day, and that's why every 27th of January we mark it with Holocaust Memorial Day. So we're going to talk about various books, possibly movies as well, and other writings about the Holocaust. So I'm going to start off with a poem. So this poem is by someone called Elie Wiesel. Has anyone heard of Elie Wiesel at all? So he was a survivor he survived 2 camps actually. He survived Auschwitz and Buchenwald camps, and he dedicated his life after the Holocaust to sort of raising awareness. But as well as that, he won the Nobel Peace Prize in the 1980s. I can't remember when exactly. And also he was a big activist, not just raising awareness about educating people on the Holocaust, but also other atrocities. So we're talking about things like the genocide in Cambodia, which is something you might be familiar with, in Darfur as well. Because, you know, the Holocaust is not a one-done thing. There are other genocides. Bosnia is another one he raised awareness of. But he also wrote a poem. And this is a very famous poem. It's called Never Shall I Forget. Never shall I forget that night, the first night in camp, that turned my life into one long night, 7 times sealed. Never shall I forget that smoke. Never shall I forget the small faces of the children whose bodies I saw transformed into smoke under a silent sky. Never shall I forget those flames that consumed my faith forever. Never shall I forget the nocturnal silence that deprived me for all eternity of the desire to live. Never shall I forget those moments that murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to ashes. Never shall I forget those things, even were I condemned to live as long as God himself. Never. Very powerful stuff, right? So yeah, you can see the refrain repeated again and again. This was someone who survived the camps. Now, obviously there's the Holocaust, it is a big thing. Let's not beat around the bush here, but the main message, of course, do not forget. We must never forget. And just to sort of counterpoint the poem a little, here's a quote that he said: "The survivors had every reason to despair of societies. They did not. They opted to work for humankind, not against it." Because, it could be easy to get into despair, but he refused to do that. And I just listed to you all the things that he did after surviving the camps. Okay, so I just thought I'd start with that. Now I'm going to invite Lucy and Georgia up now to talk about something that they experienced recently.
So last Thursday, the Year 8 and 9 academic scholars went to the Kingston Synagogue for the Holocaust Memorial Day workshop, which I think was done last year as well. We had a talk with one of the survivors of the Holocaust. He was called Marcel, and he spent a lot of his time in England, but before that he was in France for quite a few years. German occupied France.
So I think he was born in France, and when he was very young, I think 2, his father was taken away, and then his mum then gave birth to his brother quite shortly afterwards, and so they were living in really bad conditions for a while because they couldn't afford anything better. So I think his mother suffered from trauma.
Yes, I think she did, and she got taken to asylum or
a mental hospital.
She got taken to a mental hospital, and so I think at this point Marcel was separated from his little brother,
Yeah.
and he was taken by 2 Catholic French ladies who were actually very brave in taking him in, because the Germans had created a law that if that a non-Jewish citizen was protecting a Jewish citizen, that would also be punishable by death.
Yeah.
So that was very dangerous for them to do that.
Yeah, but they still took him in, and he was actually really lucky, a lot luckier than loads of children that were hidden during Holocaust. So, because they were really nice to him, and obviously, like Anne Frank, she, didn't have very good conditions, but obviously, it was better than a camp.
Then I think after that he was taken to England.
Yeah, so when the war was over, he had to go to England to live with his aunt and uncle in Manchester, and he still managed to have a good life.
He became a dentist, and he actually worked on Maple Road for quite a while.
Oh.
So, and then I think about around 20 years ago, when he retired, he started to talk to schools and people about his experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after that talk, we got into rooms, and we were looking at some of the laws that were made against Jews, and I think some of them were they weren't allowed healthcare, pets. Yeah, pets. Like children couldn't go to school. You can work. You can own a business, and I think you can work for the government.
And that's like any medical, that's like army, that covers a lot of jobs.
It basically means they can't afford to live, and they don't have the treatment to live, so it's basically just indirectly killing them.
And actually, a little before that, we got given the opportunity to ask a question, and the most common question was what happened to his brother.
Yeah.
And actually, I think his brother was taken to a different country.
Yeah.
And his brother had 6 children and 23 grandchildren.
Yeah.
So
it's really impressive how, even though they went through horrible things, they still managed to, get on with life and still actually be successful. Yeah. And so we also had an opportunity to light a candle, which I thought was really nice.
yeah,
So
And where did this happen?
the Kingston Synagogue.
The synagogue, which is the one nearest to us.
Yeah, it's quite close.
Yeah. But it was a really good experience.
I was going to ask overall, how did you feel about, what did you come away feeling and thinking afterwards?
It definitely, I hadn't actually known that much about the Holocaust beforehand, but hearing Marcel's personal experience made it especially more real. It's not like this faceless people who have had this done to them. Like when you hear the statistics, it makes it scary, but you don't think about those people individually.
Yeah, I think it was a really good experience, and I'm very grateful because not many people will get to do that anymore from an actual Holocaust survivor. So yeah, and I think it was also actually really inspiring because he went through some incredible things that I can't imagine, and yeah, he's got through out the other side.
And that's a very good point because we are running out of survivors.
They also told us that we're going to be the last generation. Our children won't be able to have this experience. They'll just be learning out of history books or seeing recordings. They won't actually be able to meet.
Yeah, so it's our responsibility to keep the story going.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. That was great. Okay, should we open it up to the floor?
Right, so who would like to go first?
Frida?
I know you can go then.
And then who are they? Up over there?
Next.
Yeah, then next you can go to you.
So I'm going to talk about The Boy Who Didn't Want to Die, which there's 2 versions. They have the normal version, and then they also have the graphic novel version. I read both because I started by reading this version, and I was really, really sad.
Who's it by?
Peter Lantos.
Mhm.
But basically, it's about this boy called Peter. This is the thing I don't know. I don't know if the author based the main character off himself. He did. So the author's a Holocaust.
It's essentially a memoir. It's not fiction. It's a memoir.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the memoir is about Peter and his family. So they're a Jewish family, and I think were they in Bulgaria?
I was hoping you could tell me because you've read it a lot more recently than me, I think.
Oh, they come from Hungary,
Yeah.
and then they went to Austria and then to Germany. And one of the saddest moments of this book is there's like a couple of different characters, but Peter and his cousin Susie and his like aunt. So it's like him, his mum, and then Susie and her mum. They go to a train station. Peter and his mum get on the train to Bergen and Belsen, which was as horrible as Auschwitz, but it's a bit smaller. And then his cousin and aunt went on the train to Auschwitz, and it was really sad because they hadn't heard from them. And in that case, they were like really lucky that they just had a couple numbers difference that put them on a train to not necessarily safety, but more safe. Yeah. The thing is really sad though because I found the graphic novel more sad, but I cried at both books, to be honest. The graphic novel version is more sad because you get like really comfortable with some of the characters, and also Peter's older brother is very smart and he had a lot of potential, and also in both books it describes him as like quite a looker, so he had a lot of girlfriends, I'll say. When he was in his town, and he was really smart as well, and he was going to university, and then they didn't let him again because he was Jewish, which I think was another one of the laws. They weren't allowed to go into like the public education system, and like even finding private tutoring for them was really hard. But yeah, it's really sad.
So was he a teenager then when they were deported?
They were taken away when he was 5. Like, they were told they left their town when he was 5.
Right.
And then I think the book ends when he's about 9. No. The book ends when he's like because he went to England after. So it shows him from, I don't know. But the last entry is when he's 43. But basically, there's like, I like the ending of this book because there's a what happened next, and then he was really like kind, and he put loads of younger photos. There's photos
Yes.
of his family before and then after the Holocaust, and it's really sad. There's his journey. So, Bergen and Belsen was one of the most notorious concentration camps in its enormous network. The camp was originally designed to hold 5,000 to 6,000 prisoners. In the end, there were 10 times more. The liberating British Army found a hell on earth. The British soldiers ancillary worked on medical staff performed miracles to provide food, water and medication. They also ordered Nazi guards to bury the corpses in mass graves. In one of these lies Peter's father. Despite all the horrors of Bergen and Belsen, it was not a general policy to tattoo the prisoners with their numbers. Neither his parents nor him had such an identification, and he learned their numbers from the camp's records. And every year, on the people that went to Bergen and Belsen's camp that are still alive, they receive a card, and he describes it as a heartwarming gesture. Although I think I'm even happier than my German friends are that I had survived. But yeah, you can actually see his full journey that he did from Hungary to Germany to Czechoslovakia. Is Czechoslovakia the Czech Republic? Czech Republic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
That's really good that you included that.
It's good to know that there's an aftermath.
Yeah.
I was thinking, because he was very young at the time, I don't want to get too many spoilers, but did someone else go to help him with the memories? Because he was very young. Well, I suppose some people have very good memories, and when you undergo something as significant as that, did anyone... I'm hoping that some of his family survived. It was a long time ago I read it. I do know that some don't, but I think some do, don't they?
I don't want to say, but most of his family do die. I'm not going to say who because one of the deaths were really, really sad. But another thing that I thought I'd mention is his father, when he's in the camps, struggles with addiction to I think it's specifically cigarettes, and underneath the concentration camp system, the German officers were apparently they were trading with some of the older Jewish men to try and intoxicate them more, giving them I don't exactly remember, but one of them was consistently giving tobacco to a lot of the older men, and then that also killed off a lot of them. And then it also actually shows a gas shower, because the gas chambers. They were told to go to the shower, and he and his mum forgot, it wasn't towels, but they forgot something, so they stayed behind, and if they had gone into that chamber they would have died, which I thought was they were very lucky. They missed a lot of
forced in, Frida. How extraordinary.
I know.
It's like you're saying about how they mix it with the numbers as well. A lot of the people who survived it was just down to quite a few cases. That's the frightening thing. It is a good example of it.
Yeah.
So, was there a hand up over here? That's what hand up.
Yeah, but I can't work out whether it's a spoiler or not. It's just, it was in the Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. At one point you hear that a group of people get told that they're going to get out the rain. So they get taken to a certain place.
Oh, at the end of the book.
That's
At the end of the book.
Yeah.
That's also a very, very sad book about the Holocaust.
Boy in the Striped Pyjamas is one that more of you familiar with, I'm sure. Yes, that they would be misled, because obviously you're not going to tell them what they're actually going into. So yeah, there is definitely lots of examples of that. Anything else about Frida?
Another thing is his family wasn't a lot of the families didn't actually get bodies or even cremated, after people cremated. So there's a graveyard, I think, in Hungary for all the people, and they have a shared gravestone, and there's 14 people in their family on it, and there's at the bottom it just said they all died somewhere in Europe, which is really sad because they don't even know where their family is. They can't even bury them properly.
Yeah.
And then he is quite young when he's in the concentration camps, but there's a very distinct memory that shot out to me. They have where they do, I think, the cremating, a lot of smoke comes out, and then one day Peter asks his mum, "Where's all that smoke coming from?" And his mother lies, saying it's from factories, but he puts in a note at the bottom that was not from factories. Those were bodies, and one of those pieces of smoke could have been my father. Nothing. I said nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Sounds
you, Frida.
interesting, Frida. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much. Thanks.
I really bad pins and needles on one foot for random reasons. So anyway, so the book that I've got is Mouse by Art.
Spiegelman.
Yes, that person. And there was one at the back, but this is my mum's copy.
Oh.
And I will say I haven't actually read all of it. I have gotten to here, which is not very far. I started reading it yesterday night because my mum was like, "Oh, I have a book that you can read," because I was gonna come and stalk the library today, but I found this. So it's basically the author's dad's. Okay, it's the author's dad's experience of the Holocaust, and it's it's the bits that I got to. It was quite cool because it includes him, going to his dad and asking him for and the author portrays the Nazis as cats and the Jews as mice, the Poles as pigs, and the Americans as dogs. So that's why it's called Mouse, probably. And it's about obviously his father's kind of life. So it starts with him telling him about how he met the author's mum and what happens basically, and then about how he kind of
war came
Has
into
the
his
war
life.
started yet? World War
Well,
Two?
at the start, no, it hasn't. I don't believe.
Yeah, it does track his life before that.
Yeah,
how he
'cause there's this-
Article on his mum.
Bit. Where is this? So this is going back to when a father is telling the author, but this what I just told you about Lucia, and so I don't want you should write in your book and like what might not. It has nothing to do with Hitler, with the Holocaust. It's just about his life, like a little backstory. And the only reason the author keeps it in is because he wants to make the book more like human, more about the story and not just about the Holocaust, because it's more meaningful if there's like human backstory behind it, because obviously
absolutely. And
So,
that's where he includes himself as well.
yeah, obviously, because if you're just reading a book about some mice and cats pretending
the
to
same,
be
yeah.
Nazis and or dogs pretending to be Poles or whatever, then that's not going to really hit you, kind of. It's not going to make you feel the emotions. But if it's an actual person, obviously, because then you're going to it's like if you read a graphic novel, in my opinion, or watch a movie, you feel more, not the way books does, because some books are amazing and they make you feel like you're the character. But if I'm watching a movie, an actual real life movie that's very sad, I will burst into tears because I can see the people on the screen, and sometimes I will burst into tears at books as well, but not as much,
Well, wait and see.
It's kind of random. But
Wait
yeah,
and see
yeah,
with
yeah.
this one. They're different mediums, really, aren't they?
So yeah, I am going to read it, but
Yeah,
I have not read it.
Highly recommend. Has anyone else read it? I highly recommend. Yeah, have you read it? Yeah. What did you think?
I thought it was quite good. I can't remember the whole thing now because I'm not very good at remembering it. But it was quite good, as you said, because it shows some of the backstory. And when he was going over to interview, and it just kind of gave a bit more to it.
Tied it together. And
Yeah.
it's my mum's favourite book.
What, ever?
Well,
Wow.
probably not ever. It's probably
But
my
one
mum's
of
favourite
your
graphic
favourite
novel, but also one of her favourite books.
I mean, I'd agree with that. It's certainly one of the most important. Just to digress into graphic novels. I said this before. Graphic novels are a very good medium when they're done right.
Yeah.
And before Mouse came along, they had a reputation of not being the best, not being the most literary. This proved that they could be. It won the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is very clever. The one thing that stands out to me about it is the fact that the dad, Vladek, the main character,
Yeah.
he's portrayed with all his flaws, because he is a very flawed character, and he doesn't shy away from saying he's a very difficult man. He's actually a bit racist and prejudiced in his own ways. He's not very nice to his second wife. So it's important to show that we shouldn't just automatically lionize Holocaust survivors. I'm not saying that the person he spoke to wasn't a great person, but fundamentally they are flawed people just like us, and it's very brave, and that's one thing that sticks with me, makes it elevates it and helps it stand out.
Yeah, for an example.
Sorry,
Polish people.
Polish people, yeah.
So that's the picture of him and his dad. Obviously, is mice, but
Is that a route as well of some description on the back cover? Frida was saying that was a route in her book. Is that a route, or is it just a map of Poland?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. I was just wondering. Okay,
It says Poland, and it's
yeah.
country shaped. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. Annabelle, are you going?
Oh yes, is anyone else need to go soon, by the way? No, okay, Annabelle can come next then. If you need to go now, you can go now. That's all.
No.
I was talking to people over there. If anyone want to go now.
But I don't actually have it with me, but I'm going to talk about Goodnight, Mr. Tom. I read this book when I was in year 6, so 5 years ago. But I really enjoyed it, and it was about a little boy who in the war went to the countryside to go live in a foster home. Is that what you call it?
He was an evacuee.
Yeah. And it was talking about his experience with this man that takes him in and looks after him, and he has quite a difficult relationship with his mother and his family, and in the book you can see this throughout, but it really shows how different childhoods, even though you're going through so much, their kids still can be joy and stuff. And it was just a really like heartwarming read, but it was also very sad. But it was like a really good. I can't really remember much about it, but I just really would recommend it. And I know my brother, because he's in year 7, he's recently read it and he also really enjoyed it. So I think if you're looking for a war story, because I think lots of people think of the evacuees of having not such a good time, but I think it's kind of showing that sometimes you can, and in even like times, really difficult times, there still can be moments of light.
And he has a Jewish friend, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Tom. Not Tom, little boy, yes.
Yeah.
Who has been evacuated from Europe and comes to live in the country as well. Yeah.
But I can't remember anything else about it. I just remember that it's really good. So
It is. It's very
It's a
good.
classic.
It really is, yeah. Michelle Magorian. Good. Okay. Thank you, Annabelle.
Well,
Thank you.
you guys over there.
So I'm going to talk about when Hitler stole Pink Rabbit. I think it was probably after Goodnight Mr. Tom I read this one, because we read Goodnight Mr. Tom in year 5 or year 6 as a class, and that was really sad. Anyway, I read all of the books in this series. I only remember the beginning of this book and the end of the last book, and I sort of remember the middle bit. But I think one of the bits that really stood out to me was when the war hadn't started yet, and there were the two groups, which were like the Nazis and the Sozis. I think that's how you say it, the Sozis or something. The Nazis and the Sozis, or Sozis. Yeah,
Okay.
but anyway, and the Nazis were the people who were going to vote for Hitler, and the Sozis were the people who were going to vote against him. And so the main character, Anna, I think Max is her brother, and one of Max's friends, Gunther, he found one of the Nazis' badges which had the swastika on it, and he found the badge and he brought it back to school and showed Anna and Max, and they were like, what should we do with it? And they end up flushing it down the toilet. And it's quite interesting to see how even people that young, who might not even fully understand it, like, they just know that there was something wrong going on. And obviously they must have heard it from their parents and people at school. But it's quite interesting to see how they behave. It's not like, oh, whatever, they truly believe that, oh, it's a bad thing. Yeah.
What's the significance of Pink Rabbit?
Yeah.
What is the significance of
I think it's that Pink Rabbit was Anna's toy or something, and Pink Rabbit was left in Berlin when Anna had to evacuate because she was a Jew, and it says at the back that Judith Kerr, which is the author of this book, this is written from her experience, and it says that Judith Kerr was born in Berlin and left Germany in 1933 to escape the Nazis. Her novels are based on her own experience, and it's a bit sad because Pink Rabbit is left, and I have a feeling I remember reading this book and thinking, oh, she only mentions Pink Rabbit and the fact that Hitler stole it only a couple of times.
Yeah, because it's more of a symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not just the Pink Rabbit, like you said. It's like a symbol for everything that Hitler stole. It's something that shows that Hitler just basically changed her life and made her.
Changed her mentality, changed her outlook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Everything.
Yeah.
But
And of course, Judith Kerr, by the way, you all know what else she wrote? One of her most
The
famous
Tiger.
book.
Oh,
Okay.
Tiger.
Oh,
She-
Tiger.
she wrote that.
Yeah.
And there was
Do
a
you
new
know that?
one,
Do you
wasn't
know?
there? Or something. But yeah.
Yeah.
And I
He
remember
became
the
a very
last.
successful illustrator and writer. Yeah.
And I remember the last book. I think this might be a spoiler, so I won't say it. But there was a tiny bit of a plot twist, but in the last book, I think she goes to visit her mother, who's sick or something.
Okay.
I think, I'm not entirely sure, but when she comes back from the airport, it's quite interesting to see how she's moved on with her life as well. And I love how that she actually includes that in the book, because it's like you can move on from things like this. Obviously, never forget, but always don't focus on the past. Like, just sort of get on with life, basically.
Yeah.
Ish.
Healthy outlook to life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you,
Thank
dear.
you.
Brilliant. Those two have the hands up first. Stella, do you want to go next, and then Isla, then we'll come back over you.
I've got to go.
Oh, you've got to go. Oh, could you? Yeah, you go next then, and then Stella can go after you.
That's fine. Right.
Thank you. Thanks.
So I chose The Diary of Anne Frank, which I actually read a while ago, so I can't remember like all of it. But it's basically about this girl who is a Jew, and I think the war hits and she has to go into hiding, and basically she has to, I think she hides at her dad's work, is it? The place he works, and she hides behind a bookshelf. And actually the reason I read this is because when I went, where is it?
I was going to ask you, it's Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. When I went to Amsterdam,
Yeah.
we actually went through the tour, and you can see how they had to completely hide behind the bookshelf, because like any sign of life would like give them away, and obviously they'd be taken to concentration camps or just like killed on the spot. So they had to hide behind a bookshelf, and I think it was her sister, her mum, her dad, and then it was her friend. Well, they weren't friends before, but the people they were staying with were other Jews, and he came with his mum and dad, Peter, and they had to live in a tiny house. I think it was only like 3 rooms or something. It was tiny. I just remember it being tiny, and it's like really sad because they're in their whole life they're living in like constant fear. They can't do anything, and they are always hearing stories of like I think Jewish shops being like destroyed, like the glass being like broke by Germans, not Germans, Nazis. And I think she makes friends with the boy called Peter.
And maybe more as well.
Yeah. And then I think it doesn't actually say what happens at the end.
No, well, because we know why, don't we? I think
yeah, so it's not a spoiler because I think
We all know.
nearly everybody knows. She gets sent to a concentration camp, which I think it was a couple of days or weeks before they were released, and gets killed or she dies in the concentration camp. And everybody dies apart from her dad. So when her dad goes back to, I think it's to get their possessions from the place they were hiding, he finds her diary, which is with all these entries, and he then publishes it to make people more aware and to like share the story of his daughter. And it's just like really, really sad.
Have a lot of people read it?
I read it.
You must be familiar with it.
You're familiar
You'll have
with
heard
it.
of it at least. Like maybe you've seen the film or.
Yeah.
It is an important one. And yeah, it's one that everyone knows. There's a reason why you know.
Oh, and also, the reason I think she got her diary for her birthday, so the whole book is literally just her entries for the diary. And I think because she was separated from all her friends and she wasn't friends with Peter at all at the start, like I don't think they really liked each other at the start. But she was really lonely, I think. So she made her diary into almost like her best friend. Like she gave it a name. It was called Kitty, and it was really sweet.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
So back when I was living in Australia, we had to do this task where you had to go into the library, blindfolded, feel around this box and pick out a book. And I got a book called The Boy at the Top of the Mountain, written by the same author who wrote The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, and same baseline, so same during the time of the Nazis, but instead of being told from someone from a Jewish boy perspective in a concentration camp and a German, it follows the story of a boy whose father is killed and his mother gets sick. He's Jewish, he lives in France, his name's Pierrot, I think, and his aunt, who works for Hitler, takes him in, disguises him as a German boy, calls him Peter, I think that's how you pronounce it, and he is taken under Hitler's wing. Hitler, at the start, he's quite a timid boy, doesn't really like talking, very nervous of things, and then as the book progresses, he gets stronger, he gets fiercer, he acts more like Hitler, he loses all his values. He used to have a best friend who was deaf, who was Jewish. They used to write every time, and they used to use sign language. They used to draw the sign language for dog and another animal instead of their names, because if Hitler found out, Peter would get in a lot of trouble. And then he completely loses touch with them, and he starts turning into a German, like into a Nazi, and he does a lot of bad things. Not directly, but like he does do a lot of bad things, and lots of people pay the price for it. He becomes rude, he becomes arrogant, he thinks he's better than everyone else, and it's all under the influence of Hitler. And the end kind of disappointed me because it was kind of like quite blank, but the book was really good in a stretch. It wasn't like the biggest stretch, but it sort of shows how like over time, like a boy who was really sweet, shy, like took people's advice, made friends with lots of people, now became like really rude and arrogant. And it was kind of like very moral, and in fact there wasn't sad, it was disappointing, but not the book was disappointing, he was disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. Twisted.
Yeah.
I'm not here to this one.
No, nor have I.
Yeah, it's a good book, I recommend it.
And by the same author as Boy in the Striped Pyjamas?
Yes.
His name's John Boyne.
John Boyne, yes, of course. Yes. All right, well, thank you very much, Stella.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Right, does everyone want to talk about George, you had your hand up, didn't you? You're next.
So obviously I've already spoken about the Holocaust trip, but I mean I was also going to say a little bit about Goodnight Mr. Tom. Because it's really sweet book. I read it when I was I think 8, and it made me cry. But it's really good. And then I was also going to talk about Letters to the Lighthouse by Emma Carroll. So it's not actually about Holocaust, but it's got Jewish refugees in it, and it mentions things like the stars they had to wear, and it's about 2 refugees, a brother and a sister, who they go down to the coast in Devon, I think.
I believe so.
And they end up staying in a lighthouse with the lighthouse keeper, and there's basically some sort of they basically realize that he's keeping a secret, and it's like so they try and figure out what it is, and I won't try and reveal too much, but it also involves they're also trying to look for their older sister, who went missing in an air raid, so they're worried about that. And then, I mean, I won't spoil it too much, but it's basically like to do with Jews, and and it was good, but it was like, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's important to focus on like the experiences after those who fled, their experiences in. Obviously, it's a big adjustment.
Yeah, because it's like quite interesting to have a book about rather than
like being in a camp or actually escaping, about like actually adapting and actually being a refugee.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you
All
very
right,
much,
thank
Roger.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Charlotte, you going to do boy in striped pyjamas? No?
You all read Boy in Striped Pyjamas, right? Or... No?
No?
I have, but I haven't, but I know the story.
It's a big deal. It's a very well known one.
All right, Charlotte, let's have it. Okay. We used to teach. This was one of the novels we used to teach year 7. But since we've got the anthology now, we don't so much now. This is quite a controversial book, actually, because although it tells the story of the Holocaust from the point of view of 2 boys, Bruno and Shmuel, and there was a lot of criticism when it came out as to he would never have been allowed through the fence. It's just impossible. So you have to suspend your disbelief a bit, really. People did get into the camps. There's a very famous situation where a Polish Jew went into Auschwitz in order to be able to let the world know what was going on, because there were only rumours, and there's a book about that which I don't think we've got, have we?
Yes,
no,
we have.
The Man Who Broke into Auschwitz.
Yeah, I think we got it, yeah.
Yes, we have got it. Anyway, so this is told from the point of view of Bruno. Apart from the fact it's quite controversial, anyway, it is extremely well written because it's entirely through Bruno's perspective, except it's told in the third person. So it's quite cleverly written. Anyway, he is the son of a Nazi officer, and the Nazi officer believes wholeheartedly in the creed that Hitler, amongst others, is suggesting should be ruling the world. That Jews are, and other people who don't agree with Hitler, are not worth living. They should not live. And this is what the Holocaust was called, the final solution. And Bruno and his family go to live in a beautiful new house in the country. They have a good life, they have servants. And it transpires, it becomes quite apparent to the reader, not necessarily to Bruno necessarily, that they are actually beside a concentration camp, and his father is in charge of it. I'm not going to spoil the end, but it is really worth reading, just to understand a friendship as much as anything, and how you adjust to being somewhere else and not necessarily understanding what's going on. So in fact, from a point of view of trying to explain all sorts of things, it's a really good read. As it says, it takes him from innocence, and eventually there is a terrible denouement, and the family, in the film, the family can't believe what's happened. Last year, the year before, we had an adult film where it's told from the perspective of the families living beside Auschwitz.
Zone of Interest.
Zone of Interest, that's right, yes. And that's for older people than you. But again, that's looking at the effect on a family. One of the things that a very famous philosopher, George Steiner, wrote, who was German, he was at Cambridge for many years. One of the things that he wrote about Germany doing this, the Holocaust, is that nobody could really understand how a cultured, amazing nation who had produced Beethoven, Mozart, Goethe, the greatest poet of the Romantic era, could do such a thing. And it really is about othering, isn't it? It's about believing that people who are different to ourselves, have a different culture, are not real people, that they're just evil. And that's really what we have to take away from it. So that's the Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. Okay. Phoebe, are you going to say something tonight? No? Okay. All right, sorry. Right, the other thing I want to talk about is, it's actually really about Philippe Sands, who is an author and international lawyer. Now, this book is about the rat line, and it's about, again, it's for older readers, it's non-fiction. There's podcasts as well, and this is about how the Nazis got out of Germany and lived to fight another day, basically, or lived to have a different life. It's quite shocking in the way that they survived and influenced Europe and America after it was all over. So the rat line is it's about Otto Freiherr and his wife Charlotte, and he becomes a fugitive eventually. But eventually he gets away to Argentina, and South America, where a lot of ex-Nazis ended up. Sad to say. Another book that Philippe Sands has written is about the two lawyers who were Polish. They lived in Lviv, which is now in Ukraine, and they were the two who defined genocide and crimes against humanity, which are actually two slightly different things. And they were at the trials of the Nazis after the Second World War at Nuremberg. There's a new film out about Nuremberg with Russell Crowe. And Philippe Sands has researched their lives. It's interesting to me because Lviv is where my mother was born, and shows how they influenced how we think about Holocausts. Not just the Jewish Holocaust, but now the International Criminal Court in The Hague tries those who are involved in genocide and crimes against humanity across the world. Rwanda, Bosnia. You know where Bosnia is, ladies? Yep.
Is it like... I swear it was like Bosnia, and it's near the Balkans, I think?
Yes, it's in the Balkans, yes, Rita, that's right, yeah. And other places, they're trying now, of course, to try former dictators in South America, and he's been involved with that. So the International Criminal Court is still trying to prevent Holocausts across the world, because it's not just about a long time ago event, which, yes, was absolutely dreadful and appalling, and we must never forget it. But there are others to remember as well. So that's why we still have the National Memorial Date this year, every year. Okay? All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thank you very much for all your contributions. It's a sad thing, but out of it's come some great literature, and the survivors survived. They had good lives, and one of the books that we didn't talk about is Schindler's List, and Schindler's List is a very, very famous film by Steven Spielberg, and at the end of that film, he makes sure that we understand that they go on to have those who survived, out of the millions who died, went on to have proper, fulfilled lives, and many, many generations of relations as well. So, okay. Thank you, everybody. Thanks again. We'll say goodbye.
Thank you, and can we say bye to the camera,
Bye.
please?
Bye.